In the heart of the Texas Hill Country, and you're listening to Eat, Play, Live with me, Andi P, the show that is running late because I just got in from San Antonio, literally drove directly to the radio station. In fact, let me back up just a little bit. I woke up this morning in Brooklyn, New York, and have been traveling for, let's see, it's 7 there, so about the last 11 hours straight. But I just couldn't wait to get here because we have dreams to chase and goals to accomplish and things to do, right? So we can't miss out on our Eat, Play, Live time. Oh my goodness. And we do have some exciting things to talk about tonight. So let me just arrange myself here for you a second because this is just total nuttiness. So I've been in New York since Monday, and to be honest, I was planning to pre-record my show because I did not think I was going to make it back in time. And there was just, have you ever been to New York? There's not an extra second to do anything. I don't know how people plan anything there because I'm just getting to the airport today. So I flew in and out of Newark, New Jersey. So I had to take 2 subways, a subway from Brooklyn to Manhattan, from Manhattan to Newark, then a bus to the airport, then the Skylink to the other terminal, then a plane to San Antonio, and then my Jeep back to Mason. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, but totally worth it because my 2 sons live in Brooklyn, New York. So you do what you got to do, right? And that is part of having a healthy, happy, and more balanced life, which is what we want. It's the purpose of our show. And tonight we're going to talk about doing that with a New York state of mind, because that's where my mind still is, at least until I get some rest. So, oh my gosh, there were some of the most amazing things. And I don't know if you've ever been to New York, but we were talking last night and I was trying to explain to this young gal what life is like in Mason compared to living, and she lives right in Manhattan. And I said, well, imagine this giant apartment building right here probably has more people living in it than Mason. There are so many people packed into that area. It's really hard to wrap your mind around it. And the biggest variety of people, I've never been anywhere that had such a huge variety of cultures and styles and languages and beliefs and ways of doing life. So to go there, like it or not, no matter how you feel about the city, the area, whatever, you can't help but be fascinated by the life that is going on in that area. So my first day there, I decided to go running. I know, shock, right? So I had to go out and go running. And the variety of people that I saw on this run, and not just of people, of life, I just couldn't help but really think about how amazing it is to be able to witness. Okay, so I ran around this giant park, and it was a beautiful day. It was a high of 70 that day. I think it was 54 that morning. So beautiful. And the fall leaves are everywhere, yellows and reds, and it's just gorgeous. And there's this giant park and people there because they don't have a lot of open spaces or green spaces. They flock to the parks. And so there was a mother with her little toddlers, and they were digging and planting bulbs in the dirt. And there were kids families that were playing in the leaves and, building piles of leaves and all the fun things kids do when you have piles of leaves. And school groups were there. The school groups would come out. And the kids, when they come from school, they have to wear neon vests so that as they cross the street, they're so adorable. But there was this giant field and the kids were just yelling and running and just with such complete joy. And I thought, there were other people, other runners like I was running by, and I thought, at what age do we lose the ability to just scream while we run like that and enjoy it to that level? Now it's work. Now it's exercise. But when we're little, and I talk about this a lot during the play segment, it's playing. They're just playing. There were tons of nannies pushing strollers, and you can always tell the nannies because they don't match the children at all, and usually don't even, I shouldn't say usually, but a lot of times don't even speak the same language. They might be on the phone and they're speaking any number of languages. So that's kind of fascinating to watch. And just, workers, so many workers. There's always so many projects going on the roads and building the buildings and cleaning the streets, people raking leaves and picking up trash. And picking up trash. That is a huge job. Do you know they pick up trash every single day? And at night, people put their trash bags out. And sometimes it's hard to get down the sidewalk because there's so much trash. And they have people, I saw a guy going through the trash, and what appeared to be the case, and I wish that I had time to research this, but I think they bring in homeless people to get the cans out of the trash. And I think that's really fascinating. And the homeless people, so many homeless people on benches and under bridges. And I saw one guy, I don't know where he got this, but he had what looked to be a brand new mattress still wrapped in plastic, just thrown right there on the sidewalk. And he was comfy and cozy and he had his blanket. Kudos to him for getting a big mattress. I don't know what he does with that after he sleeps on it, where he stores it, but just people, I'm curious about people. Are you curious when you see people? Like, what's the story? How did you get here? Why is this mattress the only thing you have? And you're sleeping in front of 7-Eleven. Why? How? Anyway, just all these things are making me think, and all the people that are hurrying everywhere, or the ones that are wandering, or the ones that are on their phones, and you can't figure out whether they're hurrying or they're wandering because they're not paying any attention to anything around them. And when you're running and they're in front of you, they're super annoying because you can't get around them because they're like not walking in a straight line. And then I'm going down this neighborhood. Oh, gorgeous, the brownstones, and again the leaves, and it was so beautiful. And I see these very well-dressed men coming out of this beautiful building, and they're carrying what at first I think is a piece of furniture, and then I realize that it is a very elaborate and gorgeous casket, and they load it into a hearse. And I think, what a gift today, in this one run, to see so much of humanity and so much of life from beginning to end in the course of a couple of hours. Wow. We got to get out more and look around and open our eyes and see and wonder. And to me, that's part of having that balanced life, is just taking all that in and being curious about what is out there in this world. And New York is just kind of an amazing place to do it. And the food. When we talk about experiencing something very unique, there is nothing like the food there. So normally when I talk about food, you know that I tell you what not to eat, or no, I don't. I try not to do that. I try to encourage you to make healthy choices and give you suggestions. But a lot of that goes out the window when you're visiting New York. Now, obviously, if you live there, you have to learn how to do this and eat in a way that, is going to work for you on a long-term basis. But so visiting there is very challenging because everything you could possibly ever want to eat is there at pretty much any time, day or night. My kids were telling me about a noodle place they discovered at 4:00 in the morning that had the best noodles. And yeah, I don't love those stories. I don't love thinking about them out wandering at 4:00 in the morning, but glad they found the noodles. But so, yes, I did try to eat as healthy as possible, and it can be done. So, in fact, I'm going to tell you a little bit later in the show about this wellness hotel that I stayed in. But this morning, for instance, I was able to have an egg white and avocado wrap with fresh fruit. And a couple of times I had healthy smoothies. The one this morning was amazing. It had mango and pineapple juice and spinach. They were out of protein powder, unfortunately. But anyway, you can make good choices while you're there. However, here's where we're going to take a little bit of a left turn from what I normally, this is hard for me to even do. I'm a little nervous to give you this kind of advice, but so last night I was in Little Italy. I've never been to Little Italy, and we had to go through Chinatown to get there, and I've never been to Chinatown. So all these neat, really cool experiences. But we're in Little Italy, and we're going to this restaurant that this gal recommended, and it's an American restaurant. And I'm walking past all these real Italian restaurants, and I'm thinking, I do not want American food at all. So we went to an Italian restaurant. Oh my gosh, the pasta, homemade meatballs, free wine. Yeah, I don't know how that's a thing, but and yes, cheesecake. That is the only place in the world I will eat cheesecake is in New York City, but it has to be done. Now, to be fair, I only do that about once every 5 years, but that's what makes it so good. And I think that's really my point is I'm not saying avoid amazing experiences like that. If you're in Little Italy or actual Italy, eat the pasta. I mean, come on. Life is meant to be experienced and enjoyed, but also go run 7 miles or do what you can do because that's where the balance is. And it's all about the balance, right? Oh my goodness. I wish you could have just seen the man. So when you're walking down the street, a lot of the dining is outdoors now. And, FYI, if you're going there, if you want to sit down and eat at an inside restaurant, you do have to show your vaccination card. So just so you know, that's a thing that they do. But otherwise, if you're sitting in the outdoor seating, they didn't ask for it there, but they have their hosts, right? So normally you go into a restaurant and the host just says how many, and they sit you at the table. Oh, no, not here. The host brings you in. They get you on the street and they persuade you to look at the menu and they bring you in. And this man, we were going to this restaurant anyway, so we made his job easy. But this man is wearing a full-length fur coat, tells us about the free wine with dinner, and just expounds on the pasta and the clam sauce. They're famous for their clam sauce. And we go in, and once we sit down, he starts singing Sinatra. Okay. Incredible. Incredible. Oh, I'm getting so distracted. I'm supposed to be telling you about food. But from that kind of experience to the food carts, the food carts. Everybody should have food carts. And we're getting closer to that nowadays with the food trucks. We even have our own food truck, which I just drove by and saw them serving. So that's super cool to see. I don't know what it is that's so cool about those, but we went to a food cart yesterday to get a gyro. And can you pronounce gyro? Is that how you say it? Because the man working told us that it was gyro. I don't think that's right, but I didn't want to argue with him because, I mean, that's his job and he should know, but I don't think that's right. I think it's gyro. So I'm going to go with that for right now. But it was only $5, which for New York is super cheap. And they don't really expect to be tipped. We tried to tip him and he made us take a drink. So that was a weird experience. But anyway, the food. Yes. So this is so out of my element to not be just telling you about healthy choices. Okay, let's go back to my normal advice for Eat, Play, Live, which if you just tuned in, I'm Andi P. You are listening to Eat, Play, Live tonight on Lone Star 102.5 or Facebook Live. Shout out to my Facebook people. If you do, well, no, I take that back. That's too wimpy. I encourage you very strongly to not eat in a chain restaurant. And I've said this before. When you're traveling, if you can avoid it, do not eat in a chain. Don't eat somewhere that you can go anywhere. You know, Generica. Okay? I'm sorry, Chick-fil-A. I'm sorry, Olive Garden. If you eat at the Olive Garden in New York City, you're fired. Just stop. That is not okay. There are so many amazing family-owned restaurants with real homemade food. Nothing against the chains, but yeah, there's something against the chains. Don't do that. Don't do that. And on a healthy note, you need lots of water. We always need lots of water, but especially when you're in a big city like that and you're on the go all the time, you need to be hydrating, and it can be tricky because you don't want to be buying bottles of water everywhere you go, and we don't want to waste that much plastic or money. And so I encourage you to take a refillable bottle with you when you travel. You know, when you get to the airport, you can't take liquids through security, but you can take an empty bottle. So drink your water on the way to the airport, take the empty bottle through security, refill it when you get to the other side of security. And I will tell you, a lot of airports have the water refill fountains. Some of them do not. Sometimes Starbucks in the airport will put water in your bottle for you. Sometimes not. Just depends. So it doesn't always work out, but take your water bottle with you. And then when you're in the city, as you're out and about, fill your water before you leave the hotel. Fill it every chance you get. Yes, I know it can be a pain because you have to stop and go to the restroom a lot, but being hydrated is super important, and it will help keep you from overdoing all the amazing, wonderful food that I was just going on and on about. Because a lot of times our bodies think we're hungry when actually we're thirsty. So, okay. All right. I'll get it. You know, we talk about this a lot. So let's play. So we're in New York. Well, you know how I play. I went running. And because it's simple, I just wanted to take a carry-on bag. So for running, I just need my running shoes, basically, and some leggings that have a pocket so that I can have my phone, because what's the point if I'm not tracking my run? What's the point of even doing it, right? Or my Fitbit. So first run across the Brooklyn Bridge. So beautiful. So amazing. You know, don't just go there and take pictures. If you don't want to run across it, walk across it. Ride your bike. They've created a separate bike lane now that I think must be new, because it looked like they used to have both walking and bike in the same lane. Anyway, so just you just look at the city. You look at where the Twin Towers used to be. You see all of that from the bridge. You see the Statue of Liberty. You can see everything as you go across that bridge, and the sunshine and the fresh air. It's just all of it coming together. What an incredible experience. So that was my day one run, and then all around and about through the city and through the park. And then the next day I wanted to spend more time on the park side. So I went that direction and ran some miles in that way. And oh, it was incredible. But as I was doing that, I was thinking, okay, not everybody wants to run, but I see that people in the city are doing a lot of things to stay fit. So what are they doing? And I start noticing there is a gym on every block. Every kind of gym you can possibly imagine. There's one in the hotel, of course, which also you have to show your vaccination card in New York to use the hotel gym. Keep that in mind. And probably all gyms, I'm guessing, are like that. But I saw Planet Fitness, I saw Crunch Gym, I saw a HIIT gym that's just specific for high intensity interval training. I saw a boxing gym. Okay, under the World Trade Center is kind of like a shopping mall, and where the subways are, it's all kind of underground right there. There was a boxing gym in there. Soul Cycle, Pilates, yoga inside, yoga in the park. A million options for moving your body, and the walking and the stairs, because you walk so many miles. I averaged 20 to 40,000 steps a day the 2 days that I was there for full days. So you're definitely getting a lot of movement just by walking. But even if you decide to take the subway, it's down the stairs, up the stairs. Oh, wait, I went the wrong way. Now I got to turn around. It's down more stairs, up more stairs. So, yes. And be careful going through those turnstiles, because I got my suitcase hooked on one today, and I had to wait for someone else to come through and ask them to please come through my lane so that I could get my suitcase unhooked. I'm telling you, the traveling part, that's a struggle. That's a lot. But you know, we are so spoiled here because we have so much access to fresh air and sunshine and wide open spaces. It's cool to see how people in such a confined living quarters, you know, they live in this high rise. What do? Okay, well, that's what you do. You take advantage of all the options that are out there. And, you know, maybe you're going to visit and you don't. Now, the Planet Fitness, those are super cheap. So if you travel very often, they're everywhere, and you can get memberships that are super cheap. So anyway, just throwing that out there. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I got a late start today, so I'm kind of going to be running behind a little bit, but we have to talk about Live, because the big thing that occurred to me on this trip was, you know, we talk about hurdles a lot, and getting over those hurdles and pursuing our goals no matter what. And, you know, little things can get in our way, and how we keep pushing on, keep pushing forward. But sometimes it's not just a hurdle. Sometimes it's an actual roadblock. Sometimes the direction you're going, this thing you're going after, whether it's in health, in business, in your relationship, whether it be a marriage, a friendship, a business partnership, so many different aspects of our life. But think of the things that you've worked toward in your life, and sometimes it's an actual block or dead end, and you have no choice but to stop, turn around, go the other way, do something else entirely. And how do you know? How do you know if it's a hurdle or it's done? You know, maybe it's an injury. Maybe, you know, you're like, for me, if I'm training for triathlons, if I had some sort of injury and the doctor said, you can never run again. Okay, that's a roadblock. I'm done. I'm done running. I'm done doing triathlons. Stop. Do something else. You know, I was talking about seeing so many homeless people over the last few days. They've hit some major roadblocks. We don't know. We don't know the story. We don't know if they were self-induced. We don't know if it was just a curveball that life threw that was insurmountable for that particular person or situation. But what do? So, the way I see it, it's going to happen. Somewhere, somehow, you're going to hit some sort of roadblock. You're going to fail. But failure is essential to success. Nobody just gets there without any stumbles, without any failures. So it's how you handle it. It's how you get back up. It's how you recover, reevaluate, change course entirely. But man, where do you start? And how do you know? So my thought today is, when you deal with a roadblock, when something hits you out of the blue, unexpected, and you're forced to completely change course, the very first thing is breathe. Just take a breath. Take a minute. There's not a clock ticking on our whatever this goal is. So take a breath. Gather information from outside sources. Make sure that it really is a roadblock. Make sure, if you think, okay, this is it, this is the thing that ends my quest, make sure it's not just you thinking that. Gather input from other people. And then this may be the hardest part. Humble yourself. Do not let pride, fear, shame, those got to go. Don't let them dictate your response. That's not going to work. You've got to be humble. You've got to be open to starting fresh, starting over, getting help, whatever it is that it's going to take to get you on a different road, a better road, whatever. You got to be humble. You got to prioritize what you're going to do next based on your most vital needs. And that can be hard to do. And you may have to get help from somebody to figure out what that is. Think about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the most basic needs are for safety and health. You need to make sure that you have a place to live and food to eat. Start there. Once those have been established, then you move up to the next level. In fact, I'll post that. I'll post the triangle. Usually you see this like pyramid, not triangle, but a pyramid. And I'll put that on my Facebook page, eatplaylive.andi. So you take a look, because it helps. Because when something happens and you're faced with this giant, I'm just picturing this giant wall in my mind. You're running, you're going fast as you can toward this goal, and then bam, you've hit this wall. Yeah, it can be overwhelming with, what do I do next? What do I do now? And so let's start with those basic needs and make sure they're met, and then move up that pyramid. I've always hated this saying, eat the elephant one bite at a time, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I don't know why I've always thought that was really lame. But, yeah, it's true. No matter how big it is, you just got to break it down to one bite at a time. And I'm going to research this, but elephants probably have a lot of protein, and protein gives us energy, and energy helps us attack our problems. So there you go. We will grow strong eating that elephant one bite at a time. And overcoming adversity makes us strong. So whether you have to alter slightly or completely change directions, know that ultimately it's up to you. It doesn't matter what other people think. Oh, they're going to have suggestions. Yes, indeed. And they'll be from all over the map. And so that adds to the confusion. Go back to those needs. Go back to what's most important. Go back to your priorities and listen. Listen to your gut. Listen to your trusted resources. Don't listen to everybody, because it's too much. So just remember, like I said, there is a giant clock ticking because we only have an unknown amount of time in our lives. But don't feel like if I don't accomplish this today, then it's just over and there's no hope for me ever. Pfft, that's ridiculous. I mean, do you remember thinking that way? Like when we were in our 20s, I'm not doing things fast enough. I'm not as successful as my friends are at this age, or I'm not at this point with my family, or we always think there's this like some kind of weird hourglass and we're falling behind, and that's crap. Can I say that? It just is. So regroup, move on. Life is always going to throw us curveballs. There are always going to be mountains to climb. There are always going to be roadblocks. That's part of it. And learning how to deal with it in a healthy manner, keeping your mind and your body healthy to deal with those things, is part of staying balanced in body, in soul, in spirit. Yeah, let's do that. I'm so glad that you joined me and that I made it here. I hope you will join me again next week. In fact, the next few weeks, I will be doing the show remotely, so that should be a kick. But tune in. On Facebook, it'll be earlier because I have to pre-record the show. But if you're listening on the radio, then same time, same station, right here Thursdays at 6 p.m. Thank you for being part of my tribe on Eat, Play, Live, and stick with us. We've got some good songs coming up for you.